Brian approves of my Pat Travers.
Pat Travers.
Has President Trump beaten the Joe Biden inflation crisis? Wage growth is now outpacing inflation, putting nearly $1,400 more back in workers' pockets in President Trump's first year back in office.
Joining us now, former Council of Economic Advisors Acting Chair Tom Philipson. Okay, Tom, we got a good news day to talk to you. The CPI inflation report came out, looked good. You had good wage growth in that report. So I guess the question is that a little blip? Is January a blip, or is it a sign of things to come and more of it in 2026?
Yeah, the key to real wage growth, essentially, whether your paycheck grows more than the prices around you, is productivity of workers, essentially. And we had enormous productivity in Q2 and even better in Q3, close to 5%. Now, the interesting thing about Jobs Day a couple of days ago was that was a major reduction in the labor force growth in 2025 that they revised it to. But what that means that with the same GDP data, productivity has even been larger than we thought in the past, essentially before Jobs Day 2 days ago. So there's a real productivity boom taking place, whether it's AI deregulation or the fact that we fired about 10% of the federal government and actually made them work. That productivity increase is going to be really important for future wage growth because wages are always tied to productivity.
And Tom, looking at who likely will come in to run the Federal Reserve, Kevin Warsh, and we've talked about this, but with the productivity boom, and Warsh understands, you've talked about like lowering rates, you are lowering credit, like the cost of credit for people and how critically important that is. But he also understands that just because an economy is growing, that is not a reason to raise rates, to kill that boom. I sound like Larry Kudlow. But one does not, like growth and prosperity does not beget runaway inflation.
Yeah, no, exactly. We had very long periods of growth in the past in this country without any inflationary, any inflation taking off. And I think that's a misconception by the Fed. They live in this bubble. DC in general does, I think, with what we call the Phillips curve, that there's a trade-off essentially between a growing economy and inflation. That is not true in the data, actually. There's very little support for that. So I'm glad we're getting a chairman that actually understands that.
The Phillips curve is no good, but Tom Philipson is very good at his job. Tom, good to see you today. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
All right.